Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader, thetechtrader.com. It's Saturday, July the 8th. This is the weekend webinar. Another important week for the markets, and as you can see, what I'm looking at on the S&P since the October lows, when it was down around 3,500, a move of about 900 points to 4,400 and change, in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5-wave move. However, the 5th wave has 1, 2, 3, and this looks like wave 4 developing. That's my take. If we get a 5th wave, we're looking at 46, 30 up in that area. Key to the S&P is to hold 43, 28, 30. If we break that, we got a chance of coming down and testing closer to the moving averages and the trend line, or a level down around 42, call it 50, 75 area. That breaks, then we have a big problem, and any move under 4,200 could be very, very negative for the markets. Although a pullback to that level down here in there, 41, 50, 42, would be simply a return to the major trend line since the October low. That's possible too. Something like this here that happened, we might get it there, and then a big rally up to 46.7. But hard to say if the momentum is strong, but when had been broken, but it doesn't look like it. If you look at the Nasdaq 100 generals, which I will show you later, you'll see what I mean. Very, very, very strong trends in place since last November, none of which have broken. Not one of the major boys has broken, and I'll show it to you in a moment. Now, this is the S&P 500. Look at the Nasdaq 100. The NDX base breakout flag looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big 5th wave, but it's hard to get that count correct. This might be a 1, 2, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, same as on the S&P. So what I'm looking for is, can the Nasdaq 100 hold 14.6, 85, 90, 14.7 in that area? So we got about 300-point buffer before it really breaks down. Major trend line comes in there too. So for me, any breakout, and we're looking at 15.4, 5, 15.5 or maybe more. And if it runs up to the top of that channel, even in the internal channel, we might see 16,000. All depends on whether support holds, and those two big levels now to keep in mind are Nasdaq 100, 14,687, and here around 14,220. That's also where near where the 50-day moving average is, but the trend line comes in at a much higher level. So a break below 14.6 would be a very, very big warning sign. And we might even see 16, I just said 16,000, 15.5, 15.9, 16,000. All possibilities. If they continue this, we shall see. The transportation index is starting to really come alive. Look at that move the last couple, 3 weeks. Basically, since the beginning of June, so let's call it a month, we've gone from 13,670 to 15.7, so more than 2,000 points in just the last 4 or 5 weeks. And we're up against a spike high from February, which came in at 15.888. The high was 15.4, so we got about almost 500 points to go before we actually reach the highest level that's seen on the Nasdaq 100 in or more than a year. That's the, excuse me, not Nasdaq. That's the Dow Transportation high of the last year, right there. Nevertheless, nice strength and confirming what we're seeing, if not leading, the S&P and NDX. Where's the laggard? Well, it's the IWM, small cap index. Folks, my experience has always been, and I've done this for a lot of years, as you know, at the tail end of every bull market, every bull phase, the small caps start to run. If you noticed last week, that started to happen. That was right here on Friday. Now, I don't know if there's going to be anything more than that, but if you see the IWM over 189, that could run to 200, even 210. And at that point, maybe we're going to get a much more overbought market and come down. Theoretically, it looks like they could go higher for a couple, 3, 4 weeks, and maybe into late August, early September. But at that point, maybe the September-October period will be another bearish period for the market. Just theorizing and looking at it a little bit longer term. So the IWM lags, but if you look at the pattern, it is about a 1-year base pattern. It needs to get over 200, 202 to really break out and indicate a bull phase is happening in small caps. Friday may have been a start, but you can't anticipate that one day it's not a trend make. Just want to see that hold 180. And now look at the underlying indicators. The McClellan oscillator is showing neutral. And it's been like that for what, 2-3 months? vacillating between minus 100 and plus 140.50. Right now it's 8, plus 8, as neutral as you can get. Where's the VIX? Volatility index. Been in a downtrend for a good several months. And it got down to a point where we've seen this at down around 13. Historically, the lowest level seen since early, not as low as we've seen on many occasions in the high single digits to, say, let's call it 8.5 to 10, 11 zone. So this can still come down. The oscillator can still go up, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens, but I don't think we're overbought. In fact, what's lagging in the oscillator, obviously, is the advanced declines in up-down volume are not that's strong enough to indicate overbought yet. Or it indicates a narrowness in the rally, which is dangerous. So the jury's still out on what this market wants to do. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq 100 components, and you'll see what I mean in terms of strength. How about these trends? Now, at some point, this has got to end. But since January, Apple's gone from 124 to 194. 70 points. It's a huge percentage move for Apple and such a large cap stock, and it's taken it to 3 trillion, that's with the T, market cap. Amazon, which I thought was weakening, not at all. Beautiful rising trend. It looks like a flag in here. And if Amazon should break out above 131.5, you might see 135.6, 142.4, something like that. This prior high back in August of last year, 146.5. That would be my target. If you go 16 points on Amazon, you're going to get a real strong market move. And if Apple can get over 200, that would be a monster too. So those two, so far, so good. What about Google? Well, Google's been a bit of a laggard in this month, but if you look at the pattern, it's still a triple bottom base, breakout, platform, moving averages cross over, breakout, breakaway gap, run up to resistance, and a nice orderly neat pullback. As long as Google holds 116.90.17, I'm still good with it. If Google should take out last week's high and get over 123.5, you might see a move back towards 130, and then looking at 136.7 and above. Again, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth wave, Google might take this one to high 140s. So this could be an interesting option play if it breaks out, my opinion. What about the others? Well, Meta's been a monster. Look at this move. How about 88 to nearly 300? Let's see, 290, 298. 88 to 298 just since November. Now, you would think it'd be overbought, but it's a nice, slow, steady rising channel. It's not getting too far ahead of itself. The next target, believe it or not, is about 335.40. Yikes. Netflix, which I thought was weak, but when I looked at it, I said, how could this be weak? Look at this chart. Netflix, since the last year, they've gone from 168 to 447. Tripled. And right now, the angle of ascent calls for this to be $550 stock, 540.50, another 100 points. Watch Netflix. If it takes out 448, you might see this stock really make a move. And support right now is 411.12. Beneath that, we're looking at 398, 400. 396, sorry. So that's still in fantastic shape. What about Microsoft? Oh my God, it's fabulous. Triple bottom base, breakout, return, pullback, falling wedge, breakout, wedge, pop, rising channel. So net, and right now it's kind of wedging too. If you look at it this way, that's a coil. The breakout of Microsoft gets me to 365.68, another 30 points. So, I mean, there is nothing to indicate from any of these Nasdaq 100 components that we're not going higher. Yeah, they're a little extended and they may be vulnerable, but the trend is your friend and momentum is higher on all of these stocks, every single one of them. You think that's good? Look at the NVIDIA. Powerhouse move. And I gave you a swing when it popped out here at 375 or so. Made it up to 439. almost 440, and now it's coiling, much like several of the other stocks we're seeing. In my mind, now that I see this again and I reviewed it this weekend, these are very bullish consolidation patterns for the next leg up. If we get a blowout here, this is going to 485, 500. NVIDIA. Tesla's no slouch, folks. It didn't look great in April. It was trading at 152, but it nearly doubled to 284, 130 points. And now it's setting up a little 4-day flag. There is a gap there. They may fill it, they may not, but the bottom line is the target is 300 and 340 if it continues. So we've looked at, let's just review this really quickly. Tesla, beautiful bullish channel. NVIDIA, unbelievable. Microsoft, same. Netflix, same. Meta, better. Google, that's the only one that at this point isn't as strong as the others, but I think if it goes, it could really help the rally as well. In wave 5, and there's Amazon and Apple that are impeccable. So if anybody sees bearishness in these trends, let me know. I've been bullish for months when everybody's bearish. I also told you months ago that this market had too many bears, and everyone I talked to was bearish. And the market climbs a wall of where we quote Joe Granville, 1965. So it just continues to show me the market thinks the economy is not going to have a recession, that we're going to have, at the worst case, a soft landing, if that at all. At least that's what the market's telling us. They're not rarely wrong. But there's some, kinks in the armor. Let's take a look at some group strength, and you'll see what I mean. Semiconductors, nothing negative there. Multiple waves up, inverse head and shoulder, breakout, a beautiful bull coil, indicating we go to 160, 65, 75, 80. Long term. And this is a split. So it's possible once we get above, if we do get above the all-time high, and that's going to take some doing, but 159-ish is where we might go in the next leg to test, 159.60. That's the SMH, but there are kinks in the armor, and it's the financials and the biotechs. When two of those three groups aren't as strong as the semiconductors, it's hard to have one group leading the market. So that's where the worry comes in. I see the XBI, which I now follow instead of the LABU, but they're both the same. You see they're both broken support trend lines and are below moving averages. That's a concern. Unless I see this reverse quickly and get the XBI over 85, and the LABU back over 650, 60, and this is the troublesome to me. And financials, more promising at this point because they came down so sharply when we had the banking problems. They're based out now. Possibilities of a breakout over 63 3/4 would be very bullish, but then you have the decline top sign at 72, 74. But that would be very bullish for the market, and you break out over last week's high. Keep that in mind, 64.40 roughly. Get above that, it would be bullish for the market. Let's move to and check out the oil situation. Still in a downtrend, my friends, but this might be a basing type pattern. And we did have a spike up right to resistance on Friday, with that gaining 2.4% or $1.55 to 66 range. Now there's resistance right here. If we don't follow through Monday, that could be very bearish for oil as it consolidates and then goes lower, or breaks out and heads up towards the 70, nearly 73 range. That's my resistance on USO. What about natural gas? Well, UNG isn't very pretty. It looked like it was basing nicely and about to break out, but it came right down again. We cannot let UNG go below, in my opinion, 665.70. The low was 678 on Friday. So this three-wave corrective pullback better be just that, because a breakdown there, we're going to go back and test the lows at 6. And at the same time, the opposite, the KOLD, which came down to support and starting to bounce. I'm a little more skeptical about this pattern because every time I see a break in that pattern, this looks like to me a trend line break and a bear flag. Now, obviously, if natural gas comes down, this is going to spike up and be back in the high 80s again. But the jury's still out on this one and on natural gas. Let's explore gold and silver. GDX, for me, I've drawn this line incorrectly. I just noticed that. There's your trend line. 1, 2, 3, and a big wave 4, but we broke the trend line, and now secondary support is being tested. This is not, and we're below the moving averages, okay, and we're at below the trend line. So for me, there's no reason to be bullish on gold and silver. None. Period. End of subject. Yet. And proof of that is that the JNUG, same, and Nugget also. So they're all in downtrends now. One of them is broken out. You want to look for this spike high here on the Nugget above 36.5. On the JNUG above 34.5. The GDX would have to get above 30 3/4 to get me more interested in gold. And let's look at silver because it's kind of the same. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and quite frankly, folks, if I'm being true to technical analysis, this is a wave 1, wave 2 bear flag, wave 3, wave 4 bear wedge. So until we get back quickly above 28.5 with energy, and even then, it's got resistance. This looks a little better because the trend line's held on silver, not on gold for the most part. So that's my take on gold and silver, and it's kind of like, okay, you want to accumulate it down here, that's fine, but you may have to wait. I would rather be in a stock that has broken out and showing me upside momentum, and that's the way you got to play it. Otherwise, you may be in something for weeks and months before they move. Believe me when I tell you, I have personal experience of trying to do that over the years. So I'm not saying stay away from gold and silver, but I am saying that they do not have upside momentum, period. Okay, so we covered a lot of areas, and I want to go to about 100 stocks, which is the top 1% of my mind of the stocks in terms of trends. Look at AAOI. What a monster move. Now, this looks a lot like several stocks you'll see today. Leg 1 and 2, and this is leg 3. Leg 3 might get you to 9. And leg 5, which hasn't even gotten anywhere near it, could get you to 12 or 13. This has momentum, period. ACHR. Now, the junior aerospace companies like ACHR and Joby have done very well, obviously. This broke out, pulled back to retest, and popped again. If Archer takes out 5 next week, it could be 6, 7, and even 8. While we're on the subject, let me jump to Joby. Our swing that did great for us. It broke out, we put a swing on it, it popped to target 1 and pulled back, and it went boom, chakalaka. I mean, exploded literally from 6, 6 1/4, and doubled to 12. Now the pullback has got you to fill that little gap. So we're going to have to just see how much downside this might have, where the momentum is. The next key support is 8 1/4. I'd love to see a low volume pullback there, and then a run to 12, 13, 14. ACVA, software infrastructure type stock, application stock, sorry. Beautiful base breakout. So it was a 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is consolidating, holding support, but that one needs to be stopped on 15.5, 3/4. If it does get back over 18, you might see 20, 21, 22, 23. AEHR, one of our faves. Look at this long-term chart. We made good money there and there and there. Right now, multiple tops or double tops, I should say, in the 46 range, 44.5, I'm sorry. Now shows me that this may be a pullback entry opportunity or consolidation flag. And if this is a 1, 2, then we have 3, 4, and 5 to come. This is 60, 65, 70 down the road. The angle of ascent shows that the channel top is around 75, longer term. So could this double from here? Possibly. Of course, you don't want to see it break down and below support. Right now, the pullback low, this zone is support. But let's say that if AEHR fans we have support at 36.5 and 34 3/4. Below that, you better be out of it. It's a very volatile type stock, so we'll see what happens. AI, well, everybody loves AI. Look at this big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I don't know if I'm counting it correctly. This could be 1, 2, 3, and this is wave 4 developing. But it does look like a possible head and shoulders, or just a wedge that's going to break it higher. Targets are high 40s, mid 50s if it does break out. You better not be in this stock if it rolls over. The near-term support is 35.5. Secondary support is 31.5 in the subject. AMAM. Well, after doing a 1 explosive move and a falling wedge, and then another pop and coil. I put a swing on it. It went literally from high single digits into the high teens. Friday was not a good day for it as it pulled back a couple points and didn't close well. So keep an eye on this one because it could be volatile and it's somewhat thin. AMD Advanced Micro, multiple waves up, has gotten into resistance and it's pulled back. That is key support now. This one, 107 is my stopping point. I don't want it below that. If it does break out of this pattern, and right now it could be bearish because it's come down and formed some sort of flag. I need AMD above 118 with energy. The targets are there 122, 133. If it makes new highs, the market blows 140.45. APLD, beautiful base, breakaway move. We put a swing on it. It then ran, popped, and pulled back. It's kind of difficult in here, but as you can see, support at that level is holding. That would be 675.80. That's where you got to stop it, folks. Move above my mind, above 10.25 could rip it into the low to mid teens. App broke out, put a swing on it, and then moved to a target number one to pull back, and now it's pressing resistance. Targeting 28 at 31.2. ARCT, a beautiful base, breakout, and now a platform. This is a three-wave corrective pullback right to the prior highs and a snapback. What I do like is this pattern here above the moving averages indicates if it's not going to pull back and it's going to take out this resistance, you can see, keep an eye on this one next week because it could fly, targeting 34 and 39. Arlo is not much different. Look at that base, breakout, wedge, coil, pop, another coil, beautiful rising channel. Arlo has energy and a beautiful flags developing. Need to get it over 11.25, 30. Then you're looking at a run to 13, 14. ATEC, beautiful rising channel all year. In the last year, this has gone from 6 to 18. It tripled. Actually, tag 19. This little pullback to the prior highs is bullish on lower volume. My targets now are 20, 22, 23. ATRO, multiple waves down. That looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double bottom reversal, breakaway gap, pull back, retest that gap. Spike up, falling wedge, pop, little wedge, flag, stair stepping its way up on the lower end of the range. A move over 21 could accelerate low to mid 20s at least. AUGX, long downtrend, base, breakaway gap, and a wedge. And that's my favorite pattern. When you see the pop and wedge open, we see a trend develop. This has gone from about 2 3/4 to 5 1/4. It's flagging, looking for 6 1/4 and 7. AUR, a tech trader swing, broke out, flag, broke out again. We put a swing on it, ran up to target number one to pull back. Reversed on Friday, nice reversal day. My targets are at 3 1/4, 4, and 5. AVDL. Well, after I saw this spike low a year ago, and then a pop coil, pop, pennant, and then a 5-wave move, it went into a funky kind of consolidation, but then started to slowly edge higher, broke through a double top, exploded to the channel top, consolidate, broke out and retested on low volume. I still like this. I think 19 and 25 are potentially possible. South American Airlines like Azul and a Gold and a couple others looking good, but this inverse head and shoulders have me intrigued. Also the break of the channel. There's your breakout. Move up into the low teens and a pullback. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 is underway. Could develop a little longer, but 16 is the target. BDX, look at this move. BDTX, big base, explosive breakaway move. That day going from 315 to 685 on only 190 million shares. And now this pullback flag. Just keep an eye on it. Friday was a good day for it. It jumped about 6%, but it wasn't huge and it needs better volume. If it does pick up volume, especially above, say, 495, then that's where it could really get going. Target could be 7 again, and then maybe more. Stepping back and looking at BLBD, this is a nice inverse head and shoulders. There's your breakout, the retest, the breakaway gap, pop, falling wedge, pop, another wedge. So we'd like to see this hold 20, 20 and a half. The targets are 27.8 and 35.6 if it goes. BTBT in the Bitcoin or crypto realm. What a nice recovery from 53 cents, folks, to 4.80. That took about 6 months, but you can see it's in a rising channel. It's consolidating with the next targets of 5.5 and 6.5. Kaba had a monster move last October that saw this go from 61 cents to almost $13. About a 20-fold increase in about 4 months. So when you get that kind of move, you often get consolidation time, and that's what happened here. But lately, we've had a pop, pullback, and low volume ebb on the pullback with good technicals tells me this might come on again. If it does, 14.5, 17, 20, all potential targets on the upside. Keep an eye on that one. CARG, there's a tail, breakout, pullback channel, breakaway gap, coil, pop, and you can see the channel up, tells me 25 is possible. Low price biotech, Charisma Therapeutics went from about 285.90 to get up to almost 10, tag 960. It's in a rising channel and it's consolidating, and my target's 13. CBay, beautiful base platform breakout. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a fifth wave starting with this breakaway gap. The targets are 14 and 17. CCL, the beautiful inverse head and shoulder type pattern, breakout, running gap, surged to near 20, actually hit 1955. Sharply rising angle, maybe too sharp. Let's look for some consolidation, but your next targets are 22 and 25. Cognite, this is a stock I put out after it popped and coiled. Took a little while to go from 4, but it finally ran into 6.23 for more than 50%. Another pullback, retested the trend line. Looks like this has another leg up. The targets are 6 and 7.25. CLS, inverse head and shoulder, perhaps, but it's breakaway gap, platform breakout, and a 3-wave corrective pullback. It looks to me like now it's taken out the highs, and Friday was a pop to 1543, closing 1525. Right now, momentum can take this to 17, 19, etc. CLSK, as you know, many of the people in the room have been following this one, and I agreed to go long on a swing because I saw a quadruple top breakout and then a nice surge. Look at that Friday move, 12%. My target's 7.75, 8 at least. There's my target, and your support is 5, 5.25. Cody. Well, we've been talking about this stock since it broke out of the base here in the 8 range, ran up to 12 and change, pulled back, it popped, and check out the flag right here. So keep an eye on Cody. Any move above 12, let's call it 65.70, this stock could run into the mid-teens. Caribou, huge pop on Thursday, even a bigger one on Friday. Monster volume. Thursday's volume was 83 million, followed by a mere 13 million on Friday, but it went up 25% Friday. I can see resistance up here around 8, and then that gap up here around 865. So that's the follow-through momentum targets. Beyond that would be 10. Carvana, this has been very good to us. Here, when it exploded, and here when it broke out, flagged, and ran. As a matter of fact, breakaway gap has it be 1, 2, 3, 4. And Friday's action, which was a great day trade for us, going from 23.80 to 29.80, 6 points, 30 million share traded. It looks like it's ready to run, and I mean 40, 42 is possible. This one has Momo, keep an eye on it. It's a tech trader swing. DBI, I like that breakaway gap, taking it up through the declining channel, and now rising channel. Looking for momentum, 11. Maybe we get up here to 13. Those are going to be my targets right now. DraftKings. Well, DraftKings broke out. We put a swing on it, and then extended, and now it's flagging. And was our buy recommendation Friday. The stock popped from 25 to almost 27. Targets now 30 and 34. DO in the oil group. I had to give you this one because it's long, multi-month, 5 or 6 month coil broke out, and it's continuing to run. I have a target of 19. Dynatrace may be coming out of its consolidation after a nice run. Look at the channel up that's forming. targeting 57.8 and 63.4. Elf on a shelf, I cannot believe this stock, but unbelievable. ELF in 1 year, 15 months, under 21 to 115. So we're looking at a 5-6-fold increase. And it doesn't look done, does it? My target is 130. ENVX broke out across a triple top, put a swing on it. It looks very good for more upside, 21-22 target. ETNB, I want to point out that after a big long run, this is starting to show signs of deterioration. I would be awfully careful on this one. Lorraine, if you're listening, I think you have a position in this one. 100% stop under 17, 16.90 in that area because it could really get killed. EXTR, beautiful long-term chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up and then a bigger pullback. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up as well, but I'm not sure it's done because it looks like a good carry for the channel top. We have mid-30s. Finger, nice swing for the tech traders. We went after it popped and pulled back. I went into 209 and then ripped to 440, pulled back to 250. Here it is, a new high, tagging 505 on Friday. That's the highest level since last November, which tells me we can go to 6, 7, 8, 9 again. But keep your stops in place on this one. Wow, beautiful momentum. First solar with a nice reversal on Friday was up 666. We need that one to hold the trend line, which to me is right about there. Once first solar gets above 200, I think maybe we can start to run and see 215, 230, etc. FTI, FMC Technologies, beautiful rising channel. The base was broken there. Resistance broken there. A wedge formed, it broke out again. The targets are 18 and 22. GENI broke out on Thursday, maybe following through on Friday. We had a major contract extension with the NFL, I believe. This one looks like it could be 11, 12, 13 on momentum alone. GRRR, we all know how much this went up on Friday. It was a beautiful trade for the tech traders. This ran from 3 to 5 3/4, pulled back to 469. It was still up 260, 124%, a mere 171 million shares traded, but it has a massive gap right there. That would be resistance, and that's one of the reasons I think it pulled back. Keep an eye on this one though for momentum. Gravity, one of our old friends that really did well up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move, and now that got crushed. I mean, from over 200 down into the 40 range. Actual low is 36 from, let's see, 240 to 36. So it lost 90%, but reversed, wedged, held support. Here's the wedge I'm talking about. A nice breakout and a flag in here. Momentum could carry this to the high 80s. HIVE in the crypto world. Look at that double top breakout, a strong run up. Momentum should carry this to 7.5 3/4. That's my target right here across that line. IKNA in the biotech sector. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a beautiful coil has me sit thinking. Keep an eye on this one. Above 7.5, it could run to 9, 11, etc. Immunogen spiked up, flagged. We put a swing on it at around the 13.5, 14 zone. Within a month, it made it up to 20, and it's coiling, flagging, etc. Holding support at least for now. This one needs to get back over 19.5, 20. If it does, 23.4 is my target. IMNN, breaking out of a 1-year base, breakaway gap, pulled back and tested, and then ran up again. My target is 10 and 11. IMUX got crushed in October from near 12 into the down in the 1.5, 2 zone. The actual low was 137. It ran back to 3, pulled back again, formed the base, broke out of the base. This is why I'm interested in this stock. The recent run took it from 143 to over 2, to over 3, excuse me. And now it looks like a wedge may be forming or a consolidation. That means the next leg, measured move-wise, is $1.80 from wherever this bottoms. So if it bottoms from here, it's a $4 stock. That's my take. My targets are 4, 4 3/4. Keep an eye on this one. IMVT, one of my top 20 picks for the year, holding steadily, but in a pullback mode again. It's actually gone from the December area where it was 12, 13 get up and double into the 24 range. Now the pullback. My target before year end is high 20s. INOD. Nice pop, pullback, pop, and now wedging. Resistance and target is 14 and then 17 if it goes, which looks like it might. Good technicals. INTC broke out. We put a swing on it here. It then pulled back and popped again. Now it's pulling back again. So this is a difficult one. A large cap play. Semiconductors go. It will. The target's 37 at 41 if it does. IONQ. Nice swing trade. It popped, consolidated, popped again, and now it's flagging. My targets are 18 and 22 on this one. Watch for momentum play on this. This looks great. Internet of Things, or IoT, is Sansara. Breaks out of a base here, flags, coils for 3 months, breakaway gap, and now another wedge. My targets are 32 and 37. IREN in the oil sector. I like the base pattern, the breakout. It's at resistance. If it runs here, we're looking at 9, 10, 11. Told you about Joby earlier. Copen. I have it on good authority that several institutions that I know of are accumulating this stock. They think it's a $6, $7, $8 stock short term. So there's a big run up and a bull flag. Measure moving this one alone gets me to 4. Keep an eye on this one. LFMD, the bottom of the right-handed extension or cup and handle. There's your breakout, and there's a run up. It's now at multi-year highs. My targets are 7 and 9. LI, the Chinese automotive stock, broke out. We put a swing on it, I think in the 27.8 range. It's run up into the 38 range. And it's still consolidating bullishly for more, I think. We're looking at 40 and 44. LPG in the oil sector continues to press higher. Broke out of a coil just this week. Here's what I'm talking about. Now I'm looking for an extension to 30. Lightspeed, a tech trader swing after it broke out, pulled back, and then popped again. Now look at the double top and a flag in here. Keep an eye on this one. Over 17 and a quarter. I'm looking for a 1920 and then 24. Mara and Riot both looking great here. As you can see, they continue to press higher. It's now in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move. I think it might extend to test this area near 18, 19 zone before it has a more important pullback, but very volatile to say the least. How about this chart? Moon Lake Immunotherapeutics. Well, obviously broke out there, ran up, popped, and then had a breakaway gap with energy and flagging. Hard to tell where this goes, but it looks like 60, 70, 80 it could be had if it's either taken over or just continues to trend, but obviously vulnerable because it's moved from 5 to tenfold, over 50. MP, I'm not sure what the problem is here fundamentally, but and or technically. But we know this is the largest North American rare earth company, having gone down from 60 to 20. Okay, 60 to 20, and in multiple waves down. At this point, a little mini base broke out, pulled back to test, and Friday was a good day for it. But I need to get it above last week's high. If it gets over 25.80, I think you're looking at 29.30 and then low to mid 30s. MRAM in the junior semiconductor group is forming a new uptrend. And when I see this kind of a pattern, I'm very interested. $10 of resistance, 11 and 13 are your targets. MRVL exploded with a breakaway gap out of the base, and now it's got a beautiful bull coil. This is a tech trader swing, as long as it doesn't break support at 56. The targets are 67 and 75. Neogen, the bottom of the right-hand extension or cup and handle, then a run up in the coil. The coil broke out and ran up to resistance. It's flagging here. My targets are 20, 3.5, and 26.5. And the RV breaks out of a base, wedges, pops, and coils. Breakaway gap, flag, and it's popping out again. I'm looking for 15 short term. Keep an eye on this one next week. Nanox, one of our better swings this year. It popped and pulled back. I believe we're in at 9 3/4. We saw it go in a month to 22 3/4, and then this pullback. Am I happy about it? Not really. The stock is at the key support zone right here. It better hold. It's below the moving averages, which concerns me. I would wait for a price volume surge back about 16, 17 before I do anything. If so, 22, 28, 32 are all potential targets. FDA approval for their device is what triggered that. NVIDIA, obviously a major move, popped. We put a swing on it in around the 375 range. As you saw earlier, we mentioned it during the Nasdaq 100 components, but I love this chart. Navitas, another junior semiconductor, looking much better here. Pop, pull back, tested breakout point, ran up, pull back orderly, and ran up again. A little choppy. The technicals are a little sloppy, but I think we can see 11 and a half, 12, maybe more. If it gets above that, we're looking at mid-teens. ONCY, a junior biotech that just broke out of a base, pulled back and tested it and ran up again. Double top. Well, above 335, I'm looking at 490. OPRA, one of the better charts on Wall Street. No kidding. Look at this chart. Last October, under 4 to 25. So a six-fold increase, and it doesn't look done, although it's at the top of the channel. Momentum could carry this one into the low to mid 30s at some point, but be careful. You continually tighten your stops on this one. ORIC, breakaway pop, and a wedge. Looking at the overall pattern, nice base, and it's the highest level we've seen in more than a year, with the target now at 1112. Overstock. Finally broke out, we put a swing on it. It really worked. Pop, pulled back, explosive move. Hit all my targets and then some, and now it's pulled back to support at the gap. Let's see if it holds that zone. It goes up to the next target, 35.6. PESI, also a little inverse head and shoulder breakaway move and a strong surge. 2-day smackdown and then a recovery. At this point, it's coiling or consolidating near the highs in a tight wedge with that kind of a pattern. Need to hold here, but if it pops, 12, 15 are all both targets. Palantir, what a move out of the base. Breakaway gap, quick wedge, and a breakthrough, a double top there. And a strong run all the way up to 17 and a pullback wedge. Scalp or target, it would be a retest of 17, and then we're looking at 21, 22. PPSI breaks out of the base, forms a coil, and pops. We put a swing on it and ran up nicely, all the way up to 984, but this pullback this week is a bit concerning. We need that to hold. You can see ideally it broke its trend line just slightly. I'll leave it right there as a possible trend line, and this is a possible channel top. So trending and target would be retest 9 3/4 and maybe 11, 12. PSNY coming out of a base here with a nice pop Thursday, Friday. I'm looking for extension to 5.5 and 6.5. QTRX, nice base, breakout, retest, pop, and now this coil or channel or whatever you want to call it, flag, whatever. Bottom line is above 24, the target's at 29 and 35. This one looks intriguing, keep an eye on it. Rig, in the oil sector, this driller, Transocean, long coil, broke out early last week and kept going, and even took out the double top. Momentum could carry this to 9-10 range. Riot, along with Mara, Riot also broke out and had a big day Friday, jumping 224, 16%, 42 million shares, which is big, big volume for that stuff. At this point, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave's on the way. How far they take it? I'm going to go with this angle and say my target's 19. Rivian, another great swing for the tech traders. As it popped out here, we put a swing on it. It just kept going. It literally ran, not since we gave it to you, but it's run from 1330 to 2563, nearly a double in 8 sessions. A little bit overbought and there's some resistance here, so you may get a pullback, but wow, this is the kind of a move that begins long-term trends in many cases. RMTI breaks out, put a swing on it, it formed a coil, it popped up and pulled back. Still looking at higher levels, target 7.5. Roy Vant, one of my top 20 picks for the year, making new highs last week as it popped to 1169. My target is 13.75. RXT, I just noticed the stock this week. What a wonderful consolidation, pop flag, and breakout. Friday was a really good day for it. Up 3 points, almost 11%. I got a target of 34. SDGR, nice channel up. It broke out a wedge, popped and pulled back and tested, and now flagging. Look at that flag. The stock looks higher, 55 and 60 are your targets. SDIG, after popping out here and getting to resistance, it pulled way back and made a lower low, but it suddenly reversed it with big volume and broke out. So we want to watch this one. We'll move back to 10 and 13. SGH in the semiconductor group, nice breakaway, a strong surge to both targets, now a pullback. Next target is 36. Shopify broke out of its base, pull back, ran up again, and it's coiling it here. They can take this one above 67 and change. We look at 75 and 80. Sientra, long downtrend from over 100 into the $1 range. This is one of the worst losses I've seen percentage-wise. Here, yeah, this is a reverse split, so I can't give you the numbers, but I will say this. The breakout from here and a pullback to test the moving averages, and then a follow-up breakout with a close at the highest level we've seen since November tells me $5.5 is your target. 5.5. SMCI, I just had to show you this because it continues to be a monster. I don't know where they take this, but 3.25 or more is very doable, I think. We'll see. SSYS, probably a takeover, but look at the pattern. Stair-stepping its way higher. And should you get above 18, 15, you might see 21 or even higher on a takeover. SYM, beautiful chart, break out of the base, stair-step your way higher. Now we have a long 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave target is $70 or more. It's only 42 now. But wait for a pop above 45 first. Taboola, pattern here is very similar to what it had here. I'm waiting for a breakout. If TBLA gets up to 341, my target's 4.5 and 5.5. TDC, that's Teradata. Wonderful, really strong start move in this area. Now at resistance from the high from February of 2022. If it gets through here, your target's 60. Tidewater, a beautiful stock in the oil group, has gone from 10 to 59, almost six-fold increase in a 1, 2, 3, 4 wave move. The fourth wave consolidation is broken. My extension target is 69. Technoglass, which is the tech-traded swing since it broke out last November, has been continuing to keep going, so I kept it, never breaking support. Now my target's 55 and 63. TGTX breaks out of a base. Here is where we got interested in it. It then ran up, coiled and ran up, and it's not flagging. It looks to me like a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking for 40, 35 and 40 on the next move. TISI spikes and pulls back in a beautiful wedge and then blows out of it. If it gets to 10, this is a rock and roll stock. $12, $15 or more. Keep an eye on that one. TMC breaks the quadruple top resistance and then runs, pulls back. But Friday spiked again, 199 at 255, up 50 cents at 25% on 9 million, almost 10 million. My target is 3.25.5. TRHC breaks out of a coil, pops, and has a falling wedge, and pops again, and now it's wedging again. I'm looking for 10.11. Uber continues to look impressive. There's your breakaway gap, rising channel, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave, 46 and 49 targets. Upstart, long downtrend. Finally bases out and breaks out with a breakaway gap above the moving averages, which we're crossing over. And then went vertical to resistance, backed off, went vertical to the next resistance, backed off, and now may go vertical to the next resistance. If so, you're going to see 15 points on this. Keep your eye on this one if it breaks out. My target, 53.54. WW popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it, did very well, and then came down over the last couple of months and did a tight holding wedge before breaking out. Friday was a breakout above resistance, and now it's looking like this is a $10 stock, maybe 11. XPEV is another Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer. As you can see, breaks out over triple, quadruple top here with a gap and runs, now wedging, looking for 16, 17. XPO Logistics, one of the strongest stocks in that group, trucking, is broken out above everything, even after a reverse split, a split stock. It's probably the equivalent of, I think, 180. But right now, this clear sailing. This stock could be 70 or 80. And that is it for me, folks. And we're going to pass on shorts today because I have a lot of homework to do in that group. So I'm going to say that is it for me this weekend. There are a few short ideas I could cover, but I'm not going to do an extensive move for you. Let's just take a quick look at EPAM, which remains in a downtrend. It has a really bearish looking chart. Easy stop on it, but if it breaks 200 and 150 are targets. Massey in a really negative looking breakdown bear coil with no reaction to the market. This rolls over, you're looking at 135. Capri continues to look lower. This is tech traded swing short since it was 50 back in February, March, and it's made it down into the low 30s. So looks like it could go lower. AZPN is waiting for a breakdown. It hasn't broken down at all yet. Matter of fact, it maybe made a little bit of a move, but look, it's not a cover yet. If it rolls over from here, we're looking at a drop of another 30 points. PI and Pinge ran up to resistance and rolled over, and it's barely bouncing. So a breakdown below 80 could get this down in the 60s. The oil stocks have rallied back, so we're looking carefully at them for potential cover, but they also might be short opportunities here if oil dies. Devon is another, APA is another. They all look the same. BTLE, yet another. Those are the 4 stocks that I was short, and they've all come down, but now coiling or consolidating and at a critical point for those stocks and the group itself. Finally, NFE in a lateral bear flag after breaking its tops and forming a bear wedge. If this breaks below 25, we're looking at a $19, $20 stock. Keep an eye on those for now, and I'll add some more stocks to it after I do my homework over the weekend. But for now, that's it for me. Have a great weekend, you guys and gals. Talk to you on Monday. Take care.